And welcome back to Truth Frequency. This is your host, ChrisGeo, and I'm joined as always by the lovely SocioStudent. And on the line we have Mike Philbin from MikePhilbin.com. He is an author and a researcher, and it's a pleasure to have him on the show. Now, I got to say, Mike, that I'm not too familiar with your work, so let's start a little bit with who Mike Philbin is.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. Mike Philbin. What is he? It's sort of, he's premature in many ways. I was a premature baby. I was 5 pounds at birth. I had my first one-man painting exhibition in 1987. My first novel came out, which was a little novel called Redhead via Creation Press of London. That was 1989. And I've done absolutely nothing since. There you go.
Well, you've authored quite a few books.
Yeah.
How many of them have you had published?
Oh gosh, at least 3 or 7. 3 or 7, that's a good number.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of your works?
Yeah, I can do, yeah. Let's have a look. Well, last year, 2008 actually. 2008, there was a publisher called Silverthorpe Press in New York, in fact, outstate New York. And they put out 2 short books of mine. One was called Bukkake World, which is a lovely title. And the other one was
that is quite interesting, quite interesting. Before you go any further, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I saw that on your bio, and I said, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah,
Bukkake World. Do you know what the Japanese delicacy bukkake is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's not a form of sushi. Well, it sort of is, I guess. Depends what floats your boat. The Bukkake World sort of comes about because of imagine that you're in a corporate situation, yeah, and you're sort of taking the verbal, physical, career abuse from all sides, and I've transfigured that into obviously a Bukkake styled narrative. It's quite different from the way it starts because every day in Bukkake World is the exact same day. Understand?
Oh, absolutely. We're getting screwed every day.
Yeah, you get up in the morning and it hits you in the face straight away. And then you get on the train and it hits you in the face all the way to work. And you get to the work and the boss and the colleagues and it's all hitting you in the face. You go and have a meal and your meal's full of this stuff. And that happens every single chapter. So I basically have every single chapter the same, but I change every single day based on yesterday's day. And then the story starts to evolve. So even though it seems as though it's going to be a really tedious, sort of turgid face shot for the entire book, it's not. It completely changes. And it goes into very important stuff like corporate death camps and why everyone needs a mentor to wake them up in this completely sleeping world.
Now, what about Chimera World? Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, Chimera World is just something I edit every year, and it's I don't write anything in it. I just take submissions from people out in the real world, as it were, and I set the themes, I set the guidelines every year, and they're never the same. And I could go through. Let's have a look. Chimera World 1. It was about horror, simply just about horror. Because I was involved with the horror writers, and they have forums the same way that this movement has forums. And it was all very sort of tedious, boring, and dull. You'd have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you'd have a few monsters, and that's it, you know? So I thought, well, come on, there's adults reading books as well, not just teens. So let's have something where the adult can write for an adult reader. And we deal with all sorts. You got depressive existence, you got misogyny, atheism, terrorism, you got anti-car, you got rejected stories, which was quite interesting. And the final one is Chimera World 6, which is New World Disorder, Life After the Tyranny Fails.
Nice.
And get a lot of submissions, and I'm a really sort of, active editor, and I'll suggest how a story could maybe be made a little better, or suggest changes, and they seem to take it quite well, and off they go, and they change them, and everything works better.
Now, how did that title come up, Chimera? If I remember correctly, Chimera is an ancient Greek monster, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I was a bit mischievous. Obviously, generally when I'm writing, I'm a little bit mischievous. I like to take the piss out of the reader a little bit, yeah? Because he's too just fucking boring otherwise. The general idea is that in 1985, or between 1985 and 1987, I wrote a fake science article for a paper magazine in England called Dementia 13, and amazingly, she published it. Yeah, the editor of the Pam Crayas, that was her name, and she published this made-up science theory about what matter really is and how light travels backwards, and how matter is the real repulsive force. Yeah, which is quite a coup. And so she's put this massive big thing in the magazine, and after writing it, because it was called the Hertz and Chimera unit, because it was based on the cycles, the Hertzian cycle of transformation. And I thought that's quite a nice name. I like that. And I don't really care about being a mainstream writer, to be quite honest. It's like, what's the point? There's plenty of them out there, and they're all boring.
Well, how did you get started into writing? What were some of your influences?
Influences. I was a big fan of William Burroughs for a bit. I like the way he reads. Have you ever heard William Burroughs do a reading?
No, I haven't.
Man, he's so sarcastic. It's really quite sweet, yeah.
If a young writer comes to you and says, I want to get started, where would you point them to? What kind of advice would you give them?
Wow, just start typing into the keyboard, yeah, do it. So if you want to be a writer, just do it. If you want to be a broadcaster, just broadcast. If you want to be an artist, just paint. Just do it.
Very good advice. Absolutely. One of the titles that really caught my eye was Planet of the Owls. And I assume looking at the title, it's got to do with the Bohemian Grove. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I like the idea of you looking at a towel. That's quite funny, actually. You do that if you want, yeah, on your time. Planet of the Owls. Yes, in fact, Bukkake World and Planet of the Owls, we decided early on, myself and the Silverthorpe Press editor, to have the books linked in some way. Now, we sort of accomplished this by having two separate stories and interlinking themes with the corporate angle and the apocalyptic angle. And also we designed the covers to be as if it was the same cover but with different illustrations and different titles. And so everything was laid out the same, and only the data was different. So if you picked up either Bukkake World or you picked up Planet of the Owls, you could sort of get a sense of it being part of something else. Yeah. So therefore, Planet of the Owls is, as you'll find quite a surprise here, my sort of religious novel. It's got angels in it, and the angels, they're not traditional angels, obviously, because I don't really think that's worthy of writing about. So I invented some new angels, and these ones are based on the manner of the death of any person. So if you say if you're a suicide, or if you're run over by a car, or if you're exploded in a bomb, or you're stabbed to death by your ex-wife, these sorts of things will create a specific sort of death angel up in the ether, and there's a big hierarchy involved with it. And these death angels are really, really hungry, and they decide to eat all the humans.
Wow.
Huh.
And the basic story is a split story. One side of it is a person trying to escape the apocalypse, the eating apocalypse, where everyone on the planet is eaten. And they are all eaten. And the other side of it is where one human is the last ever made angel, and she's the death of Earth angel. So because the Earth is killed, is murdered, is dead and destroyed, she is born, and she takes on the angels at their own game. It's sort of interesting in the sense that her section exists obviously after the Earth's dead, but it's as if she's meeting the person who's in the human side in his real time because she's an angel. She can do that. So it's sort of odd.
I'm going to have to read that one.